Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fresh Take from the What Fresh Hell podcast. This is Margaret.
And this is Amy, and today we're talking to psychotherapist and food blogger Calysta Watson.
Guys, Calysta is someone I used to know in real life person out in LA. She is a very enthusiastic home cook, a food blogger, and a licensed clinical social worker. She's going to work with us on our minds and our food all at the same time. So at the end of this Fresh Take, you will be mentally healthy and you will be a James Beard award-winning chef. What more can we offer you on the What Fresh Hell podcast?
Wow.
Calysta, is that a fair assumption of what we're here to do today?
Oh, God. You know what? I wish one day from your mouth to the universe's ears that I could be a James Beard award-winning cool person, and therefore I can impart that esteemed joy onto all who listen to me. So I'm going to...
Amy and the audience knows that my coronavirus quarantine obsession is Top Chef. And so that's always the thing that they say about people. They're like, and James Beard award-winning chef. So I know nothing about being a chef, but I do get the sense that that's supposed to be some kind of good thing.
Yes. And you know what? Just to clarify, a chef is actually someone who's gone to school and trained and actually has the credential, which I don't. I'm just a home cook.
I see.
So I just want to make that distinction that, you know, chefs actually go through the training, go to school, they do their thing, and I highly respect that. Home cooks are fantastic also, but I don't ever want to put it out there that I'm a chef, and I'm not. There's just a distinction.
Got it. You're an enthusiastic home cook, as you say in your bio.
You betcha.
I'm here to learn about the enthusiastic home cook part, because just about everybody listening is a home cook. If we weren't before, we are now, right? 2020 has...
Oh, ain't that the truth?
But I don't love it. I'd like to love it.
Yeah, so I think that's right. The divide is in the enthusiasm. So tell us a little bit about your journey into becoming an enthusiastic home cook.
Well, as a kid, I grew up in a household of 8 other kiddos. Well, a total of 8 that my mother gave birth to.
Wow. God bless her. 8 kids.
Yes. And one thing I realized was that, hey, in the kitchen, like nobody really wanted to be in the kitchen. So I could just have my own zone and do what I wanted. And things were cool. Things were great. And I was like, oh, this is it. I'm going to keep going with this.
And so of the 8 siblings, are you the one who cooks?
I am. There's a few other that do cook. And, you know, there's some argument as to who is the best cook. So, you know, we go toe to toe. I have a little brother that just started a barbecue business in LA. And I have a sister that's really good with cooking a lot of Mexican and Central American food and soul food. So we have our things, but I think I'm the one who takes the most joy out of it.
And we know, because we can hear your little Baba there in the background, that you also have a child, a 4-year-old.
Yes.
And is he in the picky eating phase?
Slightly.
I shouldn't put that on him, actually. Amy would tell me that's a bad thing to do, right, Amy? I'm not supposed to do that.
Well, I mean, you and I each have a picky eater, but it's bad to say, oh, they're one of those. Right. To label your kid a picky eater is to force that issue. But I mean, most toddlers have strong food preferences, I would say. Calysta, does yours?
Yes, he does have some strong food preferences. And in addition to that, he's got 21 anaphylactic foods that he reacts to, that are anaphylactic to his system.
Allergies.
Allergies, yes. So, and there are things that he wants to reach for that don't agree with his body at this time. So yeah, there are a few things he does not like and doesn't prefer to eat. And then there are things that he cannot eat.
Wow.
So we have that going on, and that's forced me to be creative, to be one heck of a planner in the kitchen, which has really saved me just in general as I'm a single mom. And, we got COVID going on. We've got all of these things to consider in balancing things out. So I've had to be very creative to accommodate him. And I still want to eat the things that I love. Like, he's highly allergic to coconut and cashews, but bet your bottom dollar, Mama likes coconut and cashews, and she's going to have it.
Well, this is really one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, because I have this image. Now, here comes an Oldilocks alert, but
Back in my day.
do you remember, Amy or Calysta, a movie and Catherine Zeta-Jones played like a very high-end chef who somehow ends up with a baby?
No.
No.
You fever dreamed that.
Okay, I think I'm the only person who ever saw this movie, and possibly I just had a dream where this happened. But for some reason, I think about that all the time, because I feel like right before I had kids, I kind of was finding some joy in cooking. When I never cooked. When I was single and living in LA, I never cooked. I would get delicious street food every day, and I would make a peanut butter toast, or the best I ever did was boil those raviolis you get at the store that are yummy, basically never cooked. Then I got married and I got a bunch of cookware, and I was kind of making jokes. I'm going to put the McDonald's in the pot first and warm it up. I don't know what I'm doing. And for the first year I was married, kind of fell a little bit in love with cooking, basically food blogs and trying stuff out. But then I had kids, and they kind of ruined the joy of cooking for me, because I like making, I find this Moroccan stew and I go buy the spices and and I take 4 hours to make it, and it tastes delicious. And so I've lost, number one, the time to enjoy cooking. And number two, I don't want to cook something for 4 hours and then have 3 people tell me it looks gross and refuse to eat it.
Yes. Seconded.
Well, I hear you.
So what about that? What is your journey like? Since we've never seen the Catherine Zeta-Jones movie, let's imagine you're the star of that movie.
Oh, I have it, by the way. I have it here. It's No Reservations from 2007.
Oh, okay.
A recipe for disaster may be in the works when Zeta-Jones becomes the guardian of her young niece while crossing forks with the brash sous chef.
I love it.
See, I didn't imagine. I will say, I don't think I ever saw the movie. I think I just remember the preview and being like, yeah, that would be weird if you were a huge chef and then had to cook for little kids. So, Calysta, where are you in that journey? So, allergies are a whole part of that story, but also have you adjusted your cooking, or do you cook separately for yourself and your son? How do you handle that?
Well, yes and no. So first of all, I just want to address your scenario of your Moroccan stew, cooking something that's 4 hours and then everybody's going to go, ick. I have a few hacks for you.
Okay, I'll take all of them.
So number one, obviously planning, right? And if you've got a 4-hour Moroccan stew, girl, get yourself an Instant Pot, first of all, right?
I got an Instant Pot for Christmas and I'm trying it, but I'm scared of it. I'm afraid it's going to blow me up, but it won't.
Don't be scared. There are a ton of not only Instant Pot cookbooks for everything you can imagine, Indian butter chicken, Moroccan stews, vegan stews.
Oh, you're speaking my language right now.
Yes. So there are a ton of great cookbooks out there. There are a ton of great food blogs out there that specialize in Instant Pots. And most stew recipes and soup recipes, people are putting a slow cooker option, but more so now they're doing an Instant Pot option. So first of all, that cuts it down, number one. Number two, I highly recommend getting the kids engaged in your cooking because it mesmerizes them. So even if it's something like, hey, honey, how about you wash the carrots? Okay. You rub the kale, whatever things that kids can do. Obviously you're going to, look at your kids and their age and have them doing things, age appropriate. You're not going to have them chopping onions at the age of 2, but once they touch it, and you attach a story to it, they have buy-in. Oh, these are the carrots that we put in the Moroccan stew in the Instant Pot, right? You washed them, honey. They got beta carotene. They're going to help your vision. When you're 80, you're still going to be able to see because you ate carrots on a Tuesday night. It brings it to life for them. It's no longer some soupy stuff that mommy put together, but they had buy-in because they touched it. They were a part of it.
It never occurred to me.
I want to say this is the kind of advice that I am resistant to in my cells because it feels like, I think for me, the identity of cooking is like putting on music I love and alone time. And so the idea of bringing my children into it is like, Calysta, you're ruining my life. How dare you? But I think this is actually really good advice that I have to lean into. And one of the things we say on the podcast all the time is you do it because it makes your life actually easier, not because someone told you it was good advice. And this is a thing that I find myself at dinner often saying, like my kids will eat cream of chicken soup and they'll eat pancakes. But if I make crepes with like a creamy chicken filling, they're like, this is gross. And I'm like, you know, all of these ingredients, it's all the same food you're already eating. Like you can't tell me you don't like this. You eat it in another exact form. And I think even having them like do their homework in the kitchen while I was cooking and narrating kind of what's going into stuff. Cause my kids are 12, 10 and 9, Amy, is that right? Help me out. Something like that. But I think having them in the process would help that thing of like, I'm presenting you with a bowl of weird. It's like, no, you saw everything that went into this. I think that's legit advice.
Yes. It's like you saw what made this brown because we put cumin in there. We put a little bit of cinnamon. You know, we made a little gravy first, whatever it is. It's like, you know why this is what it is because you were part of it.
It never occurred to me what you were saying about the tactile part. I mean, I understood that like they help and then they're excited they'll eat it, but it never occurred to me that they're actually engaging with the foodstuffs and touching them. And that's what makes them more willing to taste them. It's so obvious.
Yes. And, you know, you can take it a step further and think about some gardening. Now, everyone does not have the space to create a garden. Everyone's living in different living conditions, right? However, sometimes you have space for a little pot and maybe it's just, you know, you've picked up the little potted basil from Trader Joe's for $3.99 and that's the one thing you have space for. So, you know, we're going to water this. Hey, this basil is going to go in our salad or it's going to be in a garnish. Hey, you watered the basil. You grew it. I was lucky enough to, you know, grow up with a garden. My mother is not a cook, but she has one hell of a green thumb. And I didn't realize until I was an adult that she used the garden to keep us busy and to also teach us. And I will never forget, you know, we had the hangout house on the block. So we'd grown corn, okay? And she was telling us that the minute you pick a vegetable, it starts losing its nutrients. And so she's like, so look, we're about to harvest this corn. We literally set up an assembly line from the corn stalks in the backyard all the way into the house with 2 big pots of boiling water. And I just remember us taking it so seriously. It was a relay race. We had neighborhood kids, cousins, and then all the kids in the household. And one person would pick the corn. We were stalking it, pulling off the corn silk and rushing it into the house to boil it for a few minutes. And we'd eat it right away, you know, because we didn't want the nutrients to die. Now, obviously, as an adult, I realize we were taking it way too seriously, you know, but it was a lesson. And even as an adult, I do appreciate now the fact that, you know, once you do pick a vegetable, it starts losing its nutrients. Hence, we want fresh vegetables. But as a kid, I was so involved in the seriousness of growing, picking this corn, cooking it, you know, just a few minutes to enhance the sweetness. We put butter, salt, and pepper, and the kids were happy.
And according to your bio, you grew up in Los Angeles. So where was this happening exactly?
It was in South Central LA.
That's what I was like, wait a minute. I think people are picturing you like on a farm. You're not on a farm.
And you know what? You can be a city girl and have one hell of a garden. You know, South Central LA, I grew up a block from USC off of the corner of Jefferson and Vermont. And my mom had a garden in the backyard going that would rival anyone's. And this was before the whole, you know, farm to fork movement. This was back, you know, I was a child of the 80s.
Right. Your mom was not a hipster, to be clear. She was doing this for reals.
She was not a hipster. She was an OG crunchy person. It was amazing. Sunflowers. We had sunflower seeds. cabbage, zucchini, everything. And I was not into it as a kid. I thought it was just like, oh God, the garden. But now as an adult, the more I get into cooking, I'm just like, damn, I want a garden.
I think what I love about that is that one of the things that I think is just so important, and it's something I've struggled with, is that there's a lot of things that I think that we don't really control about our kids. And we talk a lot about this and how we don't really control. And one of the big things we don't control is what they put in their mouths. And that can be a real source of frustration for us. But I think one of the things we do have some control over is creating meal memories and food memories. And that is a place to really put our focus, because I don't really remember. I was a picky eater as a child, but I remember memories of, like, we had a fancy table and a kitchen table, and we ate at the kitchen table most times. But then when it was a special day, we ate at the fancy table.
Nice.
And I remember being charged as a kid with carrying the fancy plates. And that was always such a big deal if I got to carry the fancy plates. And I think that sometimes we get stuck on this idea of my kid only had 3 peas and I think he was supposed to have 12. And that's not really where our role as parents lives. And we're not all going to create basically your childhood sounds like a magical fairy tale. We're not all going to create an amazing garden where all the neighbors are running and bringing fresh corn and eating it joyfully.
Right.
But I think what you remember about that memory beyond the food is the joy of being together creating food.
Absolutely. And I just want to, clarify that. That was my experience, but by all means, take your kid to the grocery store. Now, obviously, that's not possible right now because, we're still in the times of COVID right now, but some people do take their kids to the grocery store because they have to. Sometimes I do. I get delivery when I can, but looking at the source of food in whatever form you get it and engaging them, whether you're at a farmer's market, supermarket, even I go with my kid online. When we're ordering from Instacart, I'm like, dude, do you want organic blackberries? So he's seeing that we're getting an order. Someone's going to deliver it. He's involved in the process, and that's where it is right now. You did bring up a very good point that I think is critical for everyone to remember, food memories, making memories. Mm-hmm. As a parent with everything, you never know when you're making a memory. I just want to emphasize that. You never know when you're making a memory, right? An incident, a day, a moment, you might forget it and your kid will remember it. I know there are things I remember that my parents don't. Surrounding food, these are full people. Kids are full people, right? And if we are saying, eat your peas, or, you're not going to be able to do X, Y, and Z, that only using food as a punishment or a reward, it is not a healthy thing. Food should be offered, and these human beings will have their opinions on whether they like something or not. And if we force them to sit at the table for 2 hours because they haven't eaten all 12 peas, well, guess what? They're not going to like peas. I think it can be hard to accept as a parent, hey, little Johnny just doesn't like peas. And sometimes for some kids, you have to offer it to them 100 times before they're like, oh, peas aren't so bad.
Well, that's the rub, right? It isn't like you have to keep offering. And that's where it gets hard, is I have to keep making the buttered chicken that they're going to say is gross. You can't, I learned the hard way with my picky eater that we started to sort of crunch down what we were feeding all of our kids to the sort of 5 or 6 foods that I knew would work. But in order to end that, you got to keep presenting the peas and then be okay with them eating them or not eating them, but you have to make them anyway.
Right. And then there's alternatives. Okay, well, maybe, this kid will like broccoli. Or what if I put a little something on the peas to see, hey, do you want a little bit of, cheese sauce or some smoked paprika or butter? What would make this more exciting for you? And maybe it's just okay that they don't like peas.
I don't like peas, and I want to say it's completely, completely okay.
Yes.
We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more with Calysta.
For some of us, tax season is one of the only times that we look at our finances fully. And once it's over, well, that was terrible. And it is completely understandable not to want to think about it for another whole year. But using Monarch and being intentional with your finances in an ongoing way helps you see where your money is going and how you can put your refund to best use.
We are here to tell you, simplify your finances with Monarch. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It brings your entire financial life, budgeting, accounts, and investments, net worth, and future planning together in one dashboard on your phone or laptop.
Feel aware and in control of your finances this tax season and get 50% off your Monarch subscription with code FRESH.
As you know, my husband and I are preparing to send, 3 kids off to college, and I cannot tell you how helpful Monarch has been in showing us our full financial picture, helping us to track our spending and reach important savings milestones. Our weekly meeting, Amy, it's now run by Monarch.
Love it. Achieve your financial goals for good with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes money management simple.
Use code FRESH at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off at monarch.com, code FRESH.
You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about, like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today. DSW, let us surprise you.
So we're back talking to Calysta Watson. She is a social worker, therapist, and food blogger at EpicureanTherapy.com, where she shares recipes and creates awareness of the connection between food and our mental and emotional health. And that's what we want to talk about, Calysta, with you. You have sort of a unique perspective on the connection between food and mental health.
Yes. My whole goal in, creating my food blog was not only to share recipes, but also to create greater awareness about that connection. As we've all heard, food is medicine, can be used as medicine. And I feel that in a lot of Western thought and societies, sometimes that's overlooked. And literally looking at the nutritional benefits of eating certain foods is not only benefit just our bodies, of course our brain's a part of our body, but literally have an impact on our brain chemistry, right? Sugar, flour, leafy green, just various things. Food can actually be, used as kind of a prescription. There's a lot more research currently going into the connection between food and mood and mental health, and lots of science that supports the fact that foods affect our brain function and our body function. And that shouldn't be overlooked.
Can you tell us an example? Because I can think of like sugar, flour, those being complicating factors. I have a kid with migraines, and trying gluten-free and, restricted diets is definitely helpful for kids like that. But
yes,
is there an example of a food that adding to a diet helps?
Yes. So like whole grains are really wonderful for depression.
Really?
Yes. Now, obviously, you do want to consult with the doctor for, you don't want to say, hey, I'm going to not take my meds.
Right. We're not saying we can cure you with a loaf of bread at all.
Exactly. But, adding a little oatmeal to your diet can really help lift your mood. Leafy greens are the bomb all the way around for being healthy brain food that support our systems. Obviously, this is what we hear in so many other realms to, how to support our bodies physically, but your body loves leafy greens. Your brain loves leafy greens, as well as fish with the omegas in it, salmon. And what's really interesting is a lot of what we've learned about, things that support us on a cellular level, physically, just, we're thinking about muscles, our waist size, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They also support our brain and our brain function. So that's just in terms of what's generally available. Also, speaking of adding things to your diet, things like chamomile can really help with, chamomile and cherries are really great with being very calming and, balancing out anxiety. A lot of this bits and pieces and nuggets are kind of readily available. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. People take chamomile to sort of chill out and mellow out, and go to sleep at night. Great. Yeah. No wonder it's also useful for reducing stress and things of that nature.
I think this passes for us. We have something on the podcast called the 1,000-year rule. So it's like, our people say, like, do I need this like moon bouncer thing to get my baby to sleep? And it costs $2,500 and it is only available in this one catalog. I don't think that passes the 1,000-year rule. Like, if something has been being done for 1,000 years, it's a pretty good sign that it works. And a lot of the food stuff is that way, that like chamomile tea has been used for centuries as a relaxing agent and helping people. And I think, tell me if I'm wrong, my reaction is now we're talking about adults. Like, my kid is not eating fish and leafy greens, and I wish they were, but they're not.
Right. And you can find other alternatives that your kid likes, that they're willing to eat, and also hiding your leafy greens and other vegetables. For example, I put cauliflower in my son's oatmeal, and he's none the wiser for it. You know, things that taste similar that you can kind of mask and they'll never know is a great thing. And I also I put stories around things to help them try different things. For example, high fiber is really good for your gut. The health of your gut does have a connection to the health of your brain. But in getting my son to eat more fiber, I told him that they're little goblin fingers, because they're just really ugly little pieces, of fiber. And he even said, yeah, Mom, or they're like French fries. So he has that with his oat milk in the morning, and, the story connected to it gives him access and the will to eat it.
I think what's really true, and that this is thematic about what we're saying, is involving these kids in this conversation is a very helpful step. And I know for me, I was a picky eater. I wasn't great about keeping my kids, eating the rainbow. I see these Pinterest pages where like 3-year-olds are eating, these fruit sticks. And I'm like, oh, my kid would not have gone for that. But I will say, because I think we have a lot of people with really 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds who maybe are not like, Mom, what I'm dying to have for dinner is fish and leafy greens, that this is something that has gotten easier as my kids are gotten older. They've expanded their palates. We were recently at a little gathering in the before times, and Mom had a garden and the kids were trying the really hot peppers, and it became like a contest between the boys, like who could eat the hottest pepper, and that we laid out all these peppers. And I don't know, the weird ways they fall into eating things they would have never experienced before has been nice for me to see. And my kid, who would never have considered a leafy green, is now like, oh, sometimes I go to the salad bar at school. I don't know. They find their way to some of this stuff, but I think always giving voice to like, and you don't have to get into the nitty gritties of like, this omega acid gives you this kind of mineral. Like, I think talking about food as fuel is something we return to and is important.
Right. And you know what? All of us, that's generally speaking, right, wouldn't think twice about explaining to our kid why it's not nice to hit others, for example. But if we take eating your broccoli as an example, how many people would sit down and have a conversation about why and the nutrients involved and how this helps our bodies? How many of us would really take the time to break that down when most of us have been programmed in the old school way, like, eat it because you got to finish it. You got to do you got to eat yourself. It's going to, blah, blah, blah. If you don't eat this, then no TV. Versus really breaking it down. But we'll break down other things typically. We'll tell the stories around other things about, how completing your homework is going to help you in your future. Why working nice with others. I think we need to have the same conversations around food, around our bodies, all of these things. There's so many conversations.
I've never heard that point made before, and it's super on point.
Well, thank you.
Can we talk about what happens? So your son has many allergies. He said 12 different things he's allergic to, substances?
Like 21 that we know of.
Wow. And I'm sure that's been a long process to sort of specify what those were.
Yes.
So what I want to ask is that his relationship to food in your home can be one thing, and in the larger world, I imagine, is more complicated when it's time for trick-or-treating or somebody's birthday in the classroom at school or just going to somebody's house. How do you approach that as a mom of a kid with allergies, and how do you sort of push back against the food disappointments that come from being a kid with a restricted diet?
Awesome question. So first of all, I don't make it a thing. Okay, it's a thing, but I don't make it a thing. He literally just asked what an EpiPen was as I was leaving him with my brother the other day, because I slide it back and forth kind of unbeknownst to him. I just said, oh, it's emergency medicine, but I don't make it a thing, right? Very early on, I started explaining to him the things he's allergic to. And so he can sort of repeat them kind of like a mantra so that he knows how to protect himself, number one. But I make it light and fluffy. Okay, so he doesn't think it's a bad thing. He just thinks, oh, these are things I can't have right now. And all the wise, I can stop breathing. I can get a rash, all these things, right? So I don't make it a thing, number one. So mentally, he does not have a fear around these things, but a healthy discernment. So that's step one.
Right, because when you say make it a thing, like you make it a reality, but not a thing, right? Like you make it a reality in his life, but you don't scare him to death.
Not a scary reality.
Correct. And that's what I mean by making it a thing, where there's tension and fear around having these items. Now, some people can argue, oh, that'll be healthy fear, but I don't want him to be so freaked out that he can't make the right decisions around food or react properly and just say, hey, look, I had this and I shouldn't have. I just don't make it a negative thing.
We'll be right back.
Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, and it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING. My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com.
I had a 3-year-old in my house for a play date, and I knew that he had extensive allergies, but that kid at 3 years old was able to say, I can't have soy, egg, this. He went through them all, and I was like,
yep,
got it. I'm not going to give you anything, okay? Okay.
Yep.
And it was, and it was very matter of fact, and as you say, not heavy, but just there.
Right. It's not heavy. And I feel that when you don't put children at such a young age when they feel stressed out, oftentimes they shut down and they can't articulate and go into their, emoting physically versus being able to articulate things. So I've just been very careful around that. And then when I go out into the world, I'm always prepared. I keep things in my trunk. We roll with snacks wherever we go. When we go to a birthday, I let the parents know, look, my kid's allergic. So not only do I bring food that he can eat, so I'm packing a lunch for him for the birthday so he can have, whatever food. I don't make it anybody else's responsibility. It's on mine. I don't say, are you going to have this there? We roll regardless with what he needs. Okay. It's something sweet that he can have along with the other kids, and it's something he can share. I do let the parents know that this is what I need to do for my son. They're always like, oh, yes, that's great, blah, blah, blah. And what ends up happening every time is he's the cool kid because he's passing out JoJo's. And often I've seen the kids take the cookies and dip it in their cake as well. He gets to pass them out. He has no desire for the cake, and he's just sitting there eating cookies while everybody else is eating cookies and cake. And this is what we do. This is how we roll. And we make no bones about it. In addition, there are cakes that I make him on his birthday that don't have his allergens in it. So he gets cake often. Am I going to bake a separate cake every time we go to a party? So it's like, oh, little Tommy's cake is here, and Johan, my son, you have your own separate. No, it's not your birthday. You're not getting a whole separate cake. And he understands and is comfortable with the fact that you cannot have everything, and that's the way it is. And I don't want him to think that he can have everything in every situation. I don't want anybody running and hiding the nuts when they're around him because he might feel some kind of way. No, the real world is that these allergens are out there. And guess what? You can't have everything. That's just a part of life. And he gets that. And he's so far so good.
And I think returning to our theme, the food memories that he's creating is I have fun because at the party, there's always a minute where I get to show that I have something special for everybody.
Yep.
His food memory is not I'm sitting left out and feeling, scared because I'm at a birthday party.
Correct.
And, you've got a very unique and challenging situation that you're dealing with, sounds like extremely well in challenging circumstances. But I think there's a takeaway for everyone there, which is facilitating your kids to just have good food memories. And this is, we did a picky eater episode. I think, Amy, wasn't that our first ever episode?
It was.
And I think that this is something that we didn't really get into. And it's coming as kind of a revelation to me that I think stress so much around whether or not my kids were eating correctly and whether or not, my relatives would be impressed by what good eaters they were, and focusing too much on that. And that as I've gotten older and my kids have gotten older, first of all, some of this has worked out on its own. But second of all, I have concentrated more on what is the experience of this meal? Is the experience of this meal me yelling and you crying and it's all about peas? Or is the experience of this meal you doing silly Fortnite dances with your brother and then sitting back down and taking a couple of bites? Not every meal, but I think that the 35,000 foot view on how is this going in terms of how we all relate to food is very worthwhile in a way that I didn't think about quite this way before we had this conversation.
Can you tell us a little bit about Epicurean therapy?
Yeah.
Calysta, what's your take on the blog? Why would people come to your blog?
Well, I think first and foremost, I try to have a lot of fun. First of all, a lot of my activity recently has been on Instagram at Epicurean Therapy is the handle there. And I do a live cooking show each week where I'm doing a seasonal recipe and an accompanying drink. And it's a very interactive exchange and experience. And I do throw in some wellness and mental health tips here and there, which I'll be doing more and more. And I think that I present the opportunity for people to pursue pleasure and comfort as it pertains to what we put in our bodies and how we get it there, right? So the experience of food preparation for me, which is a very meditative process, so much can be intentional about that, not only in creating experiences with your food, with your children around preparation of food, but also with your friends, your special someones. I think that, pleasure is something we should be intentional about creating in our lives. And for me, that has naturally come in food preparation. As you mentioned earlier, a lot of us have no choice right now because of where we are in the world to make some more meals at home because we can't always order out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But creating ritual and ease and positivity around food preparation can be a really fun thing and a way to take the chore out of it. And that's what I try to do during my live shows, what I'll be doing more of with my blog posts. But I really feel that I come across in this fashion. I think it's easier to lift things off of a page and to impart information vocally and in person, hence why I find so much value. And so do the people in my community find a lot of value in my live shows each week, which are Wednesdays at 6 p.m. currently, and I will be adding more. But people are able to ask questions. We talk about new vegetables and different hacks to cooking and planning in the kitchen and creating fun and atmosphere while doing it.
Guys, it is a really awesome space. Find Calysta on Instagram because I'm telling you, I'm a horrible, horrible, horrible cook, and she makes me less stressed about it. And that's the best thing I could possibly say about her.
That's awesome.
I'm ready to make cooking more fun.
I think you should.
Calysta, thanks so much for joining us today. We really enjoyed talking to you, and we will be seeing you on Instagram.
Thanks, Calysta.
Thank you, Megan Avey. I really appreciate being included. Thank you so much.
Close your eyes. Listen to Monday.com. Feel the sensation of an AI work platform. So flexible and intuitive, it feels like it was built just for you. Now open your eyes, go to Monday.com, start for free, and finally breathe.